One of the places we knew we had to visit while in Ireland was Cork. We had read several travel blogs and posts about how magical Cork and the surrounding areas are, so we were excited to see it for ourselves. After all, so far we had only really seen Dublin, as well as a fairly curated tour of some of the other sites around the island. Cork is the second largest city in Ireland and is located on the southwest part of the island. The city stands between two forks of the River Lee, which flows into one of the largest natural harbors in the world. The city was allegedly founded in the 6th century by St. Finbarr, and became more urbanized in the 900s when the Viking settlers founded the first trading port in the area. The history of seafaring trade followed Cork and the nearby village of Cove throughout history. To get to Cork, we traveled out of Dublin's Euston Station on Irish Rail, a trip that would take us about 2 hours and directly through the heart of Ireland. You can also check out a review of this trip in first class on Irish Rail in the link down below. We planned to spend 3 days in Cork, which we thought would be plenty of time to walk around the rather compact city centre, as well as give us time to see the nearby Blarney Castle and the city of Cove. We arrived and made our way to the beautiful Hotel Metropole, where we stayed for the duration of our trip. You can check out a review of this hotel, which was amazing by the way, in our video linked in the description below. We walked a bit around the River Lee before finding dinner at Gallagher's Gastropub, a small pub-style restaurant with a wide range of local beers and a great selection of Irish cuisine. So Catherine got what'd you get, the beef pie?
Yeah.
Beef pie. Looks really good. And then I just got a burger. Our food was amazing. Hey guys, so we are in Cork now. So we're about to go out and explore the town.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a bunch of sites we want to see today. Yeah, and it should be a pretty good time.
Yeah.
Cork is known for being a hub of trade, so we thought that checking out the shopping district made sense. We walked down the narrow, shop-riddled streets, including Oliver Plunkett Street and St. Patrick's Street. St. Patrick's itself has actually won several awards in the past for being one of the best shopping streets in Ireland. Nearby, the shopping continued in the English market. This market has been in business since 1788, and it claims to be one of the oldest and best covered markets in Europe. Here we walked through the tiny covered alleys between shop vendors, finding all sorts of fresh produce, meats, cheeses, and traditional Irish fare. We kept walking until we arrived on the other side of the River Lee, where we found the amazing Gothic monument called the National Monument. This stone structure includes several statues and the names of several Irish patriots from history. These patriots were involved in many of the uprisings that took place over the past 3 centuries in Ireland. From the National Monument, we crossed the river and made our way to one of the religious sites of the city, the Red Abbey. This was once the site of a large and influential 13th century Augustinian abbey. Now there's just a tower, but it's cool to see nonetheless. There's a frightening number of pigeons here.
Mm-hmm.
And they're all just sitting.
They came to worship.
So we're a little turned around because we haven't really been using a map. But we found this really cool old church. It was made in the 1700s. On the opposite bank of the river stands another religious institution, the Holy Trinity Catholic Church. This church is not necessarily the oldest in Cork, and the inside of the church is rather modern. However, the exterior of the church is beautiful and definitely caught our eye as we were walking down the river. It's certainly something worth seeing when you're here. Along St. Patrick's Street is another Cork institution, the statue of Father Mathew. The statue is technically a monument, and it depicts a man who was influential in Ireland for many years while preaching about the ills of alcohol. In fact, it's believed that because of his preaching, whiskey consumption was actually halved during the time that he was spreading the word. The bronze statue in Cork was unveiled in 1864 and has been a central site in the city ever since. There are so many beautiful nooks and crannies in this city. One of these is Bishop Lucey Park. This small, quaint green space is located directly in the middle of Cork. Here you can find statues, fountains, trees, and green. While it does offer some solace from the city outside, there are an unsettling number of pigeons here. Cork is so full of culture and beautiful river views. Just walking through the streets of this city offers a sense of tranquility, beautiful views of the water, and a sense of old-world charm that you can't really find anywhere else. We were able to find art and culture just walking through random streets. In fact, in one of these random alleys that we decided to walk down, we entered a bar that we knew nothing about, but looked rather inviting. We found ourselves in the middle of a jam session between a trio that was playing some beautiful traditional music. It was the perfect soundtrack for us to quietly sip our Guinnesses to. On the south side of the River Lee, you will find St. Finbarr's Cathedral. As you can probably tell from the name, this cathedral is named after the patron saint of Cork, Finbarr. Much like many of the cathedrals and churches in the area, this building started as a monastic school. It was reputedly founded in 606, making it one of the oldest churches in the area. The original cathedral here was demolished, and ultimately the three-spire classical masterpiece that now stands was built in the 1860s. The church is beautiful. It contains several different crypts covered in marble and mosaics. The ceiling is covered with amazing paintings, and there are beautiful stained glass windows throughout the building. As well as with many of the other churches in Ireland, you can also find plenty of beautiful stonework and arches. Visiting St. Finbarr's definitely left an impact on us. After leaving the beautiful St. Finbarrs, we made our way to the nearby Elizabeth Fort, or Dunelise. This fort was built in 1601 to protect the city, and it played a major role in the Siege of Cork in 1690, as well as provided a base of operations for armies from the 18th century onward. This fort now hosts a free museum for everyone to enjoy. So we just came from the Finbar Cathedral, which is actually behind us right now, right there. And now we're walking around the walls on the Elizabeth Fort. This is a fort built in the 1600s. It's really cool, and it's free to enter. But there's nobody here. It's 11:30, and nobody's here. So definitely would recommend coming here.
Yeah.
All over the walls you can find replica cannons, statues of soldiers, and great views of the city. Walking back down into the city, we found ourselves passing another church which looked interesting, which we later found out was St. Peter and Paul's Roman Catholic Church. As far as interior decor goes, we liked this church the best in the entire city. While the church still had a certain understated quality that you'll find in many of these classical Irish churches, it still had beautiful frescoes and paintings, amazing stained glass windows, and some of the most amazing woodwork and architecture on the interior ceiling that we've ever seen. While walking back to our hotel for a bit of rest, we decided to stop in a local pub to get a beer. Later in the day, we were determined to get some great views, so we decided to climb Patrick's Hill. Alright, so we are back from our morning walks going around to the cathedrals, and now we are on the north side of Cork, heading up the hill. We're about halfway up, and we should get a really good view of Cork from up there. And then we'll also be going over to another cathedral, which should be really nice, and then we're going to reward ourselves for this climb up the hill with a nice cold beer. Patrick's Hill provides one of the best viewpoints of the city, but the walk up St. Patrick's Road can be quite an exercise. Well, what do you think? Was it worth it?
I think so.
Yeah. It's really, it's a tough walk.
Yeah.
But it's short compared to some of the other walks we've been on.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you get this amazing view, and there's a little park down there, too. Alright, so now it looks like as quickly as we came up here, up St. Patrick's Road, we're going down pretty quickly too, down to St. Anne's Church. Walking back down to the north side of the city, we found ourselves walking towards St. Anne's Church. Built in 1722, this church is actually one of the oldest religious structures in the city. The red tower of this church is visible from nearly every part of the town, and it forms an important part of the skyline. Inside the church, you can find several old texts, and other important artifacts from the early church. You can also take a hike up the 135 stairs in the 36-meter tall tower to get an amazing 360-degree view of the city. You can even get a chance to ring the famous Shandon bells that are in this bell tower. On top of the tower of this church sits the famous golden fish, representing the booming salmon industry that was once in place when the church was built. The clock tower earns even more renown from being called the four-faced liar, after locals found that each face of the clock shows a slightly different time. It was once even joked that depending on which side of Cork you were walking from to get to the church, you were always going to be either late or early, but never on time. After our hike up the hill and our visit to the church, we thought we deserved a local brew at the Franciscan Well, a brewery and pub that we heard about during our travels. The pub itself was really cool, and there was even a covered beer garden in the back. The pub had some good choices of beer that were brewed right in Cork. You got the lager?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Way lager.
Yeah. I, myself, I got the Weiss beer, or Weiss beer. It's a little bit more sour than what I'm used to in Germany, but it's still good. Catherine needed to check on the cat.
Yes, and he's doing well.
We do have somebody looking in on him every day, so don't worry, he's not just home alone.
Fending for himself.
Well, we just went to the Franciscan Well, it's called. It's a brewery here in
A local Cork brewery,
Yeah, and it was really good. They had several different types of beers on tap and also a really cool location. So we definitely recommend it if you come down to Cork. Yeah.
They even had a cute little beer garden there, so we felt kind of at home.
Yeah, we did. The beer garden was covered, of course, because it rains so much. But the inside is really cool, too.
Yeah.
Our visit to Cork was great. This city might be one of the largest in Ireland, but once you are downtown and on the central island, you can't help but feel that you are just in another small Irish town. There's all kinds of art and culture that you can experience here, and it definitely has a different feel than the bustling metropolis that is Dublin. No matter what you are looking for on your Irish getaway, you can find it here, and we would definitely recommend that everyone take a trip to Cork.